Next, we look at the theaters that have arisen in Japan and their influence on anime story structure. Noh or Nogaku, which is a wider term referring to a complete set of techniques that include Noh's comic interludes and Kyokan comedies, evolved as a combination of several folk and aristocratic art forms and was codified as Noh in its current form by two practitioners and playwrights, Kan Ami and his son Seami Motokyo. There are two key roles in Noh, the shite or lead and the counterpart or waki. In the narrative, usually the waki happens upon the shite, and through his actions gets the shite to reveal himself in a spectacle of dance and action. There's also the role of the kyogen, or nogaku comedian, who does a comic interlude between each 2-hour play in the traditional gobandate program, which consists of 5 2-hour plays performed from morning till dusk. During Zeami Motokiyo's time, the aristocratic gagaku music was analyzed as reflecting a new type of structure, which was called jo-ha-kyu. Jo-ha-kyu can be translated as beginning break rapid, which suggests that there's an introduction, then an escalation that takes the perceiver of the art to a sort of higher level of engagement, and then an intense, speedy conclusion, presumably so the audience can stay as connected to the heightened mood of the play as possible. Another way to look at jo-ha-kyu is the more practical-minded translation of slow, fast, faster. Zeami took the use of jo-ha-kyu another step further and in his writings argued that pretty much everything used is better. Naturally, it was how he codified Noh plays, and to this day Noh has the Zeami 5-part jo-ha-kyu structure, 3 parts with the middle half section further divided into 3 parts in the jo-ha-kyu pattern. The fractality didn't end there, and there were 5 Noh play genres that accorded to this 5-part jo-ha-kyu, which in the Edo period was seen one after another in a sort of daily super play called the gobandate. Along with the 5-dance structure, there was usually a larger 2-act unit to allow a costume change before the climactic last dance. The Jo section of each play level is the first dance, which is the play's auspicious beginning. In it, the waki or foil introduces himself in the setting, taking center stage for the only time. At the level of the 5-play gobandate, the first play is the god play. In the god play, the lead, or shite, is a disguised god, often an old man, who listens to the waki's troubles, then tells the waki to perform some task. The middle or climax often involves the waki struggling to perform that task. When he finally succeeds, the god reveals himself in a celebratory dance and then helps the waki and often the people. Thus, the play itself is an auspicious beginning to the gobandate. It communicates that higher powers are watching over the play and specifies a type of divine authority that the audience is now connected to. This type of structure has been connected to anime in Stevie Swan's The Anime Paradox. I haven't bought it and only heard a radio segment, so I might be off on my own track with this, but I remain confident in my interpretation. Anime can be thought of having its own 5-part nesting structure, in each episode, in each larger story section or saga, and in each season, and probably it could be extended even further. There are 2 common season formats, 12 episode and 25 episode. 25 is nice because it divides by 5, and sagas in these seasons are usually near 5 episodes long. We'll be using this as a model, but animes may stretch each saga any which way. Coming back to the god play. As I mentioned, it auspiciously delineated the audience's, actors, and characters' relation to a higher divine hierarchy. In the first story arc of an anime, you often find characters doing things like struggling towards a legendary institution or person, or else just fooling about until a representative of this higher divine hierarchy reveals themselves. Usually for the viewer, this reveal isn't just about who the higher power is, but also establishes what you're supposed to do with the higher power. In Hunter x Hunter, the main character Gon overcomes a series of challenges before meeting Chairman Isaac Netero, who has a lot of Buddha-like traits and even manifests the cosmic Buddha as a super weapon at one point. With the god of this world as a Buddha figure sets the philosophical tone of the show, and suddenly as a viewer you might find it easier to weigh murder against any other vice in a calm, objective manner. This effect of Netero's presiding over the show is a part of why Hunter x Hunter is often considered among the best action-adventure anime. The first of 3 middle or ha parts is the Jo of Ha section. In the second or Jo-ha done, the shite appears. He establishes himself in his initial form before the waki struggles reveal him in his true form in the second act. This initial form is referred to as the mai shite, which could be translated as earlier shite. In the second play, the warrior play of Shuramono, the mai shite is the ghost of a fallen warrior. Through the waki's actions, the nochi shite is revealed to us, meaning later shite, and referring to the true form of the main character. In the case of the ghost, the true form is the warrior himself in full regalia at the dramatic moment of his death. Since this is a story about violence as well as honor, it even subverts the benevolence of the previous swordplay. The story is always borrowed from the Heike Monogatari, which is like the Japanese Iliad and about a historical battle between ruling clans. Thus, the political context in which Noh occurs is always the 12th century Genpei War on which the Heike Monogatari is based. There are 2 points of similarity to the next story section of saga in an anime. After the first saga is done and the highest authority of the world is established, this authority is subverted because people or entities appear who are associated with a force powerful enough to stand tall against the benevolent aims of this divine leader. In appearing on the scene, these guys reveal the greater political conflict of the anime, which could be a war or something completely different like a battle against drought and exploitation. The protagonist usually enters the latter on the side of the divine leader. For instance, in Hunter x Hunter, the next story arc probably is set up when one of the hero's friends and fellow passers of the Hunter exam, who has a vendetta, is told where to find his enemy, who are some of the most feared beings on the planet. The Phantom Troop had absolutely no problems dispatching hunters and seriously suffered the conceit of the first arc, which was that the Hunter's Guild, which the Buddha-like President Netero leads, were the strongest force on the planet. However, the plucky gang of fighters that the hero has gathered around himself includes several frighteningly capable people, and as they are warped by the Phantom Troop's actions, they nevertheless defeat the group for the first time in probably many. This section really communicates just how little the guild is in a position to care about the hero and his friends, and shows them fitting into the brutal world they chose to enter when they became hunters in the Netero's Guild. The third and middle section is the ha-ha, which may be amusing to fans of Bloody Stupid Johnson. The third done of each no play is the climax, where the Waki chooses a path and struggles past obstacles to get to the big reveal of the true nature of the shite in the next done. For instance, he chooses to ask the woman some telling questions here. The third play is the woman play. This is in turn a kind of response to the warrior play, which is also known as men's hell. The woman play is focused on the love and suffering of a woman, usually played by the shite actor. Usually, the Pishte or Maishte is the ghost of a woman, and the Nochishte appears in a dream or vision of the Waki character as herself at the peak of the emotion that keeps her earthbound. For instance, in the No play Izutsu, after the Waki, a traveling monk, prays hard for her soul's repose, the revealed form of Lady Izutsu appears in his dream, dancing in the male dress of her lost lover. The woman plays are regarded as some of the most beautiful of the Noh repertoire. The third play is the climax of a gobandate, and it is about the intense beauty of female love and longing. More generally, it is about the beauty and power of intense human bonds, and it's an answer to why people would bother with the world of Warrior's Hell. In an anime, this would be when the development of one or multiple loves, powerful friendships, or even kinships, like between rivals or enemies, takes center stage and becomes fully established. In Hunter x Hunter, this could easily be compared to the Greed Island arc, which focuses on Gon's struggles to find his father, and on his best friend Killwa's willingness to give Gon every help he needed and concludes suitably. Let's look at High School Romance instead. This part of the Planet anime would be episodes 15 to 18, which is where the extent of the growing bond between the main group of characters is really established. It starts off with a whole bunch who are not really interested in drama, deciding to re-establish a drama club they would have to participate in every week just for the sake of the female lead. Near the end of this arc, the class president, who has been visiting the male lead's house every day to wake him up on time for school, starts to realize she may be falling for him. Her hopes are dashed when the male lead reacts with dramatic overprotectiveness when the female lead gets injured in sports. This saga is when we learn what human bonds are about in the world of each particular anime. In Clarinet's case, we learn that human bonds are voluntaristic. You recognize another person needs help and you help them. Spontaneous and diligent. When you find yourself trying to help another, you stick with it until you fail, and self-defining. Because the male lead, Tomoya, has essentially publicly declared his love for the female lead, Nagisa, when he tried to help her, it's as if he has defined himself as her lover, and later on professes this love to her. Similar self-definition happens to the group when they sign the petition, and the drama club becomes the thing. The fourth section of ha-kyu is the conclusion of the middle. This is when the shite reveals most of the real story in a powerful dance, often with help from a chorus singing his lines while he dances, but without yet revealing his true form. In this play, the limelight is on the Aikyogan comedian who plays a porter who can't resist peeking into their hostess' bedroom and finds a pile of bodies. The fourth play of the gobandate or 5-play program is one of the miscellaneous plays. There are 3 main categories, but the most important is kyoran mono or praised plays. These are plays where someone driven mad by a terrible personal event is counseled and released from or comes to terms with that burden. The other entries in this category include genzai mono or present-day plays which are about present-day events, and onryo mono which are about vengeful ghosts. These all provide a kind of contrast with or interrogation of the theme of beautiful female love in the third play. The general concern of all these plays is the patience, resolve and wisdom of the waki, often as a counselor or just as a person acting with bravery and good judgment. This story section in anime is usually where the decision making of a companion or mentor powerfully changes the context of the main character. In the planet anime mentioned before, this would be episode 19, where Nagisa decides the male lead should move out of his troubled house, and her and her family comfort the male lead. Let's try to use 12 episodes per season anime instead. Any 12 episode anime with a deep story, or in other words dense themes, tends to squish the no categories one way or another, and we'll use the later Hirayu codification of Kabuki and Bunraku to study these. We'll use a simpler 12 episode anime, Tate Obra Milky Homes. In each of these show's 2 seasons, the fourth story section will be centered around the episode when the beloved student council president, Henriette, removes them from their comfort zone. In the first season, she expels them from the school, their stipend, and their lodgings. In the second season, she destroys the entire school. In both cases, the end result is that their powers as heroic naturals return later on. The fifth section, or Q, is the rapid conclusion of events by beginning break rapid. Usually, when the shite transforms to the nochi shite, the entire second act of the play is just the fifth act. This is when the nochi shite appears and dances in a whirl of bright colors, quick and tense story development. The fifth type of play is the demon play, involving monsters, goblins or demons, and including my example play about an ogress. The initial Mai shite was a disguised human, and the audience could theoretically look forward to figuring out which of 2 kinds of demon was going to be on show. The first was the ghost of an evil but sympathetic demon who would act out its vanquishment and end with moving words of longing. The second was a living but benevolent demon who would vigorously dance its power and offer words of religious wisdom. The vanquishing of an enemy of a new kind, or in a new context to what has gone before, is still the focus of modern 25-episode anime season endings, or even I guess the Lord of the Rings novels really. To say that this section is about ethics, or that it's about virtue in the face of the strange, might also be too general. Instead, let's focus on elements. A strange space, a human or let's say local tested, a monster or somehow alien problem revealed and often vanquished, and then words of wisdom. In Bakemonogatari, the last 2 episodes sees the lead Koyomi in a new space of potential abandonment as he goes in search of one friend, only to end up having a revealing talk with and fight with a monster whose host he discovers loves him, and whose host he would willingly give his life for, if not for his own responsibilities as a boyfriend. Like Noh, the monster's vanquishing is acted out before him. An ally attacks and takes down the monster. In the end, the threat of abandonment is consummated from an unexpected source, and in a letter that transforms his role in the town. You might even argue that the format of a traditional Noh-like story section is reversed here. It might be more natural if he discovered his new responsibilities as Waki before setting out on his search, witness the monster's vanquishing, and then listen to the monster's wisdom. This flipping of narrative progression emphasizes not just the sort of confused teen milieu, but the trick Oshino plays on him, and communicates the way the lead's world at least should be turned upside down right before the whole season ends.